Years ago, in 2010, some partners and we created the Mobile Giving Foundation, which is really the technology that you've seen in after every disaster in the world, where you can text, a short code and you can donate $5, $10 to whatever charity is sponsoring that. And the whole idea behind that was to try and create impulse philanthropy at a much younger age, using a technology that people were familiar with, particularly the younger people. But a big part of that was really, and as you can imagine, every nonprofit and charity in the world, would come to us and they'd want us to run campaigns for them to raise money. So a vetting of the organizations was a really significant part of our decision-making on that. And for those of you who are, not familiar with the nonprofit world and how organizations are ranked, there's a number of entities out there. Charity Navigator is probably the premier one. And if you punch in Mona on that, it's like a winemaker getting a 100-point rating on a bottle. Whether it's efficiency, whether it's governance, but across the board, Mona had 100% ranking on every potential metric that any charitable organization, could ever hope to achieve from. So that checked the first box. And I think secondly was really the focus on girls, the focus on women, and the focus on education. We've been involved in a variety of microfinance entities in a lot of the markets we served. And it is without question and without a doubt that the repayment, the credibility, and the desire to do more with less amongst the women and amongst the girls in the markets that we serve far exceeds anything else. And so the focus on not only education, but specifically on girls, who have proven that economically, if you give them the tools, the education, and the desire, they will bring that back to their villages, to their communities, and become a significant part of the economic recovery. But then probably lastly is really the approach. Having been involved in a number of disasters, around the world, coming out of civil wars, coming out of earthquakes, coming out of, horrific other environmental disasters, mudslides, whatever it is that devastates the communities, that we're in. We've witnessed, hundreds, if not thousands, of well-meaning organizations that will come in and they will try to help, but they're really recreating the wheel. They're not taking advantage of what's already on the ground. They're not evaluating the resources and recognizing that there are existing organizations and resources that only because of lack of support can they not do more. And I think the thing that was probably one of the most impressive things for Jana and I in looking at Mona and what they did was really the methodology of how they approach things. They're not trying to recreate the wheel. They're finding the people, the organizations that are local, that are started. All they need is funding to take their efforts to the next step. And I think that specific approach on supporting those organizations is what distinguishes Mona from many of the others that are out there.